Okay, so in this video what we're going to do is take this unrolled loop, which we created in the last time, and make it into a basic regular loop. But first I'm going to go here and I'm going to save this out, because nobody likes to lose their stuff. So from all these instructions, what we really want is just one set of these, and then have the rest of them repeat with this number incrementing. So let's get rid of these and start with our basics. And what can we do to get that to happen? Let's go take a look at the reference. And if we go to the control structures, we can see do while, maybe. But let's start with for. And this is a real common in a lot of languages, what's called a for next loop. And if you look at the syntax for it, is you have the keyword for, you initialize a variable, you check for a condition to see if the loop should execute, and then you increment this variable. So, for example, you're creating an integer x, setting it to 0, and then while x is smaller than 100, you're running this code. And after that, you increment or decrement x. I believe this happens at the end of the pass-through. So let's take this idea and try it in our code. So the way we're going to do that is we're just going to type it in. For int, and I'm going to use I instead of x, with I less than 8, and you separate all these with a semicolon, and then I'm going to go I++. Now I++ is a special operator which allows us to do the equivalent of I equals I plus 1. Since this is common, you could also say I minus minus if you wanted it to decrement. And then after that, we have to put in curly bracket, because this is now going to be executed what's inside that curly bracket. And of course here I forgot to initialize I to 0, and we also need to close this curly bracket, so we'll do that right now. As well as we need to indent these for readability, because that's how we can see what's inside the for loop. And of course this is the wrong side of the curly bracket. Okay, so now we can place the cursor back here, and if we click on it, we can see which one it matches with. See, this one matches with that one, this one matches with that. So this is a complete for statement. So the last thing we need to do is also change the number 0 to I. So this will happen 8 times as I is incrementing 0 through 7, and it will stop at 7, because at 8, well, it won't be less than 8. So then it'll kick out of this for loop and then go back into the main loop again, and we should see everything happen again. So let's see if that works. And we can see here that now the LEDs are cycling through all 8 LEDs. We'll zoom in and see that. So it looks like that worked. So on the topic of indenting, this is actually not correct. That is more correct, because this one matches with that one, and it should be at the same level as this stuff. So now your challenge is to make this LED, once it reaches the end, have it go back in the reverse direction in a different color. And I can give you some tips if you are not sure how to do that. Well, for one, you could, instead of assigning red to 100, you could assign, say, blue or green below here, and then clear red back to 0, and then run a piece of code like this down here, where you're instead counting down from 7 down to 0. So that would be a for loop where you're not incrementing the variable, but you're decrementing it, and you're initializing it here from 7, and then making sure that it continues on as long as it is above 0. So that's something for you to try out. And then last but not least, I'm going to save this out. There we go.